Hi guys, welcome to the stream. Apologies for the delay in the end. I had to answer a call, had a phone call. So I had to sort of kind of deal with that basically. But here we go, into the stream. So get ready guys, it's going to be another one of those. Well, let's get into the manager. Slag the manager off, we might as well, because that's what he's there for. It's Groundhog Day once again, and I did have that up in the background. For some reason, it's gone off. It's really pissing me off now. Let's see if I can get this up. Fucking me about this Wi-Fi today. That's all I need after what happened last night. That fucking football. Why isn't it not doing anything? Hold on. Can't seem to change it for fucking some reason. Right, let's. Sorry about this. Apologies, guys. It's get all this shit going on now. Right, hold on. 1 minute. Can't seem to get that one on. Anyway, I think we'll forget that because it's just not working. So, yes. Anyway, it's Groundhog Day once again. Different manager, same result. And I've had reservations about this guy for quite a while now. That he's not the right man for the job. I kept saying it, on and on and on. Like a scratch record. This ain't the right man. He's not going to win us anything. He's German. He's here for the money. He's 8 million a year, whatever it is. 8 million. Might as well just fuck off now. Take your money and go. You're only here for that. You don't give shit about England. You never have. And I'm sorry, I'm going to go on a rant again because it is annoying me. This is once again failure. Once again. And this guy had the nerve to slag off Southgate at one stage. So, maybe we should say Southgate come back, all is forgiven, shall we? Because, might as well do the same thing. Because at least he got us to a final. Don't forget. Whereas this guy's been paid to come in and get us all the way, apparently. That he's the right man that knows everything, the genius, that the mastermind of football that can win us all these trophies magically. When actually no other foreign manager for a team has done it before. The managers for their own countries have done it, but not a different manager for another country. They've never done it. So, what made them think this would do it, that he would do it? And yes, he's had success. He's won a few trophies in the past. We all know the things he's won, Champions League and so forth, and things like that. But how long has he lasted at the club? No, not long. He's gone after a while. Nobody, can handle him. He don't like being stuck at one club. And things happen. He has a row with somebody or something happens and he's gone. And I just think the FA are just been a bit dumb. But then again, that's them all over. FA says it all, really, with them, doesn't it? Let's be honest. And, let's ply this guy with loads of money and get us nothing. And FA left with egg on their face, but they don't give a shit because they're still going to back the guy as well. He's not going anywhere, apparently. So what do we do now? We got a Euros in, is it 2 years' time, I believe? The Euros. Does he? Do we really need to keep him on for that? Will he win us that? I'm no faith whatsoever in him doing that. How can we back this guy? How can you back the guy now afterwards? there's no possible way. We all could see what was happening, what was going to happen last night, except for him. He had no clue. And we was actually playing quite well as well. I went 1-0 up, don't forget, everyone. So, and suddenly we go to defence. 6-7 defenders brought on to shore it up. Why? And against a team like Argentina, with all the quality they've got there, and they're not another Mexico. Let's be honest. Why did we do it? I give up, guys. I just want answers, and I'm not sure I'm going to get them anywhere. I've got plenty of articles here, and I'm going to bring a guest on very soon now. He's patiently waiting there, but I'll bring him on very soon. Just going to go through a few comments here as well. Be up to you, Irish Pit Terrier. Obviously, Danny there. Be up to you, my friend. Hope you're good. Hope you're good, buddy. Hope you just about got over it last night. It wasn't good, was it? In the end. Promising to start with and taking the lead, but we all know what happened afterwards. And that's the link there if anyone does want to come on, have their say on an event or whatever, anything they want to talk about with Tickle, you're welcome to. And be up to you, Steph. Hope you're well as well, my friend. As once again, great to see you in here. And thanks for watching that watch along. I was on again last night. Richie's won. Thanks to them again. Rich at Red Devil United and all that. Steph again. Not worth getting stressed and annoyed about England, buddy, isn't it? I think we have to. I'm sorry. It's not good enough. It's just not good enough. But anyway, England, they repeat the usual mistakes. Well, yeah. Tuchel isn't the answer. Only reason he won UCL with Chelsea versus Chelsea because Pep fed up his team. Yeah, true. And Steve, you saw my comments live last night in G-Wall stream. Anyone could see we passed initiative to Argies. Well, we did. It's 100% we did, Steph. And made them look good. Come on, Spain. Yeah, exactly. But Spain have got more about them, haven't they? And they're better than us, let's be honest. Got more about them and talent and whatever else. And I think they'll give the Argies a really good game. I'd love to see them beat them, to be honest. Beat the Argies. So I'd love that. You see the banners they had as well last night out about the Falklands or whatever. I think there was something to do with that. They showed banners, the Argie fans, which I didn't like. I think that was totally terrible. What was it? 1982, and we're still talking about it. The Falklands, that was never theirs to begin with, and they just wanted to get it, gain it as theirs, their possession, and it wasn't. Nowhere near. And I really do hate them, but I think Messi's a great player, and he probably will win it again, no doubt. But it would be great if Spain wins it. But we'll see. We've got a third place playoff. Maybe we'll beat France, but I doubt it for third place. So be another one where we're going to lose. Anyway, I'm going to bring my guest on. Enough ranting and me talking about it all. Let's hear his opinions on it. And it's Manny Fangaderai. Be up to you, my friend. Haven't seen you for a while, buddy. Although I came on the cricket one recently, so I saw you on there. But great to see you back again, my friend.
Yeah, good to be back, and thank you for having me back. And of course, I did send you a WhatsApp message. Speaking of the cricket, some great news from the second ODI. India 233 all out, with Jofra Archer and Angus Atkinson taking 3 wickets each. Saqib Mahmood taking 2. Will Jackson, Sam Curran with a wicket apiece, and only poor Adil Rashid, who was sort of carted around the park, was wicketless. The only problem is we're batting second at Cardiff, so I think it's fair to say that we've just got to make sure that we keep our concentration and not play any stupid shots the way we did. And if we can win this, it'll be a finale at Lords, and that's something definitely to look forward to. Also, a bittersweet note, a Scottish football legend, Craig Gordon, announced his retirement today. He was a part of the Scotland squad. Earned 84 caps and had a 25-year career. People talk about Barry Sheen as a bionic man back in the day because he'd always get broken up and get put back together. This chap makes Barry Sheen, look like an amateur.
Yeah.
How many injuries? How many injuries? How many times he was written off but then came back? It was just sad that idiot Steve Clarke did him dirty again for a third major tournament, not giving him any minutes to play. And so one of the best Scottish goalkeepers I've ever seen, and I've seen both Leighton and Gorham play, ended up not having the honour of playing in a major tournament. But they say if you're not enough without something, you'll never be enough with it. He'll always be enough, and I wish him well. Now we'll get to the main topic. I was one of a number of people, Steve, if you recall, who was actually quite happy with the appointment of Tommy Tickle, as you call him. Big up to you, Stephanie. Thank you. And I remember saying that after all of the struggles that we've had with a bunch of English coaches who, for the most part, with a few exceptions, were just not up to the job, it was wonderful to see, someone with the level of, with a more polished CV, for want of a nicer thing to say. And certainly he came in with a more than decent track record. Now, you do have a point, though, when you say that he hardly ever stays in the job for very long. He's a little bit like, what they say, how they say a rolling stone gathers no moss. He sort of jumps from job to job more frequently, and he'll end up having a few problems with people. But sometimes the football he plays, when it's at its best, it can be really good. And yeah, you and I do know another coach who's very similar to that. I was hoping that he would have a better job, but he's now gone to coach Cristiano Ronaldo in Saudi. Good luck to him. But I will give you some credit and say that when it came to some of the friendlies that we played under him, starting with that ugly match in Nottingham against Senegal, which was the end of Kyle Walker's international career. And then with the other friendlies that we played against Uruguay and Japan, thankfully that idiot Benny Blanco, who was responsible for conceding that equaliser against Uruguay, was not recalled. And then the less said about our lame performance against Japan, the better. It's like, I was thinking to myself, the thing about us is we always seem to do really, really well when it comes to qualifying for major tournaments. But then when it comes to some of these friendlies where you think that we take it a little bit seriously so that we have an idea of what we, of the level that we've got to which we have to aspire in order to do very well. And Japan are no mugs, by the way. We just don't seem to take it seriously. And then we have all of these concerns. And I see you've got the article up. And I will say that I also had some concerns during the tournament about how we were going about things. And then it's like we've been inconsistent. We do exceptionally well against a team like Croatia, but then struggle against Ghana. We leave it very late against, Congo, and then, have a great deal of good fortune against Norway. And then every time we'd seem to, do very well, we just, hit a bump, and then that's it. I can't remember any real England manager, except maybe for someone like a Glenn Hoddle, who seldom, if ever, wanted to go on the defensive after taking a lead. He always, wanted to attack, although he used the 3-5-2 formation in France '98. But we've always seemed to have this history, Steve, of managers starting well and then going on the defensive. And sadly, it seems to me as though our German recruit has become infected with that English virus.
Yeah. Yeah. By the way, sympathies go out to Michael Richards for his father passing away. He found out not long before he was on air about his father passing away. So sympathies go out to him there, Michael Richards. The thoughts are with you at the moment, you and your family and friends, with your sad passing. But yeah, because obviously you only just found out before he went on air. What a time to find out, Danny, eh? When you're just going on the air to do this, to present that. So, But yeah, this was really passive and crumbled. Says it all, I think. Tuchel's defensive tactics cost England. England were on the cusp of reaching their first men's World Cup final since 1966. They were 1-0 up against reigning world champions Argentina when the clock inside Atlanta Stadium ticked to 84 minutes. And then it all went horribly wrong. It certainly did. Enzo Fernandez equalised with a thumping strike in the 85th minute before Lautaro Martinez headed a 92nd minute winner. Both goals coming from assists by Lionel Messi. We all know him, don't we? Yeah, we know that guy. We let him have all the space in the world to play that and do them crosses and don't do whatever he did in the end. Just like that, England's World Cup dreams lay in ruins. They had worked so hard to take the lead through Anthony Gordon. They certainly did. Great goal. Good goal. 8 in the 55th minute. And then sat back and paid the price. The decision by England manager Thomas Tuchel to go defensive backfired spectacularly. Instead, it is Argentina who go through to Sunday's showpiece against Spain at the New Jersey Stadium, 8 o'clock. It's good time at least 8 o'clock, not bloody 1 or 2, 3 in the morning, whatever. But should England have gone for the kill when they went 1-0 up? The answer is yes, really. They did not, and had only 12% of possession from going ahead to conceding the second goal. Tuchel only sent on forwards Marcus Rashford and Ivan Toney deep into stoppage time, while defenders Ezri Konsa, Dan Burn and Nico O'Reilly were introduced after England took the lead. No. We have crumbled, former England captain Wayne Rooney told BBC Sport. Yes. It started from the manager and the decisions he made, it was too passive. Exactly. Against this team, the world champions, you will not get away with it. This has been the biggest test and we have failed it. So why did England sit back when in control against Argentina? And were Tuchel's second half tactics to blame for England's failure to make the final? Well, let's have a read at what Chris Sutton thinks. Coaching catastrophe. England have showed character at this World Cup, coming from behind to defeat DR Congo. Yeah, that's true. At the last 32 stage in Norway in the quarterfinals. Yeah. The difference is hanging on against Norway or Mexico in the last 16. They have not got the quality this Argentina team have got in terms of the ability on the ball and the ability they have to punish you. Former England captain Alan Shearer told BBC Sport. Tuchel played his cards very, very early and it has backfired. England looked to have taken full control of the semi-final against their old foes when Gordon put them ahead. England's fans celebrated wildly, but then their team opted to sit back and defend. That was a coaching catastrophe from Thomas Tuchel. Chris Sutton, a Premier League winner with Blackburn in 94-95, told BBC Radio 5 Live, you can't expect to defend for 30 minutes against the quality Argentina had. Exactly. It's all on the coach. He made the changes. He was negative. So the question which I'm going to ask is how can you trust Thomas Tuchel to take this team forward? England have come undone against Argentina in the past. Who can forget Diego Maradona's infamous hand of God goal at the 1986 World Cup or the 1998 World Cup defeat that burned so deep? But David Beckham got sent off, of course. England, however, have no one but themselves to blame for Wednesday's loss. Norway and Mexico panicked against England. Former England goalkeeper Joe Hart told BBC Sport. I didn't see one bit of panic from the Argentina side. I saw belief. I saw them realising they could free up the great man Lionel Messi in the pocket and they were running all over England. But he's small enough to fit in the pocket, let's be honest. But Gareth Southgate took a lot of criticism for the big moments with England when they had the lead in big games and shut up shop. I don't see that anything has changed in that big moment out there. So what were the changes that frustrated England fans so much? With England leading 1-0, many expected Tuchel to go for another goal. Yeah. But instead, the German made 3 defensive changes. He brought Konza on for Gordon in the 72nd minute, switching to a back 5, and totally our outlet was out the window of going forward with Gordon off to a back 5 before bringing on further defensive reinforcements 10 minutes later in Burn and O'Reilly. Tuchel sent on Rashford and Tony, but it proved too little too late. I felt the changes we made at 1-0, that if Argentina scored, we wouldn't make extra time, said Rooney. Former England defender Michael Richards told BBC Sport when England scored that first goal, they should have gone for the second. Yes, you respect their quality, but dropping deep allowed Argentina to get into their flow. Before I go on or say any more, what do you make of all that, Manny?
I guess, one thing which we can say regarding England is that the more things change, the more they stay the same. And you and I both remember, Steve, some of the depths of Gareth Southgate's awful coaching, which was every bit as defensive. We do not need to remind ourselves of what happened in Euro 2021 when we took a wonderfully early lead from Luke Shaw, only for I don't quite remember who it was. Was it Cellini who equalised? I'll have to look that up. And it's like he went completely on the defensive not too long after that and made a substitution so late. And you mentioned there that he only brought on Rashford and Tony in the 96th minute when time was almost up. There were 9 minutes of time added on. So it begs the question, if you do decide to make those substitutions, surely you would make them earlier on. And as I said, my biggest fear was that our German was infected by the English virus of going ultra defensive. You want to take off Anthony Gordon? Perfectly fine. You bring on Marcus Rashford in his place, who also has a knack of, being an excellent finisher, who can take advantage of any kind of defensive slip-ups and can certainly, score a good goal. You want to take off someone like a Declan Rice. Obviously, we don't have a Jordan Henderson who, fractured his arm because he was so over-exuberant in celebrations. Although he did go on to make history by playing in his 7th major tournament. Good for him. I hope we never see him play for England again. And of course, as a Brentford fan, I think he will stick around with you lot, but you're going to have to wait for him to retire from that injury. Let me tell you, breaking the forearm bone, it hurts like Billio. And I broke 2 in my right arm. Yeah. Fortunately, I'm left-handed, but still, it's horrible. And
horrible, isn't it?
Yeah. So it's like, again, he brought on Ezri Konsa, he brought on Nico O'Reilly, and he brought on Dan Burn because he wanted to try to shore everything up. And maybe there is maybe there might be a little bit of merit in that, but you've also got to make sure that you have a commitment to remain attacking as much as you can. Bring on some fresh legs in attack. You've got so much attacking talent at your disposal. And one thing which angered a lot of Aston Villa fans on Twitter, and probably you as a Brentford fan, is that the Aston Villa star and ex-Brentford striker Ollie Watkins didn't get a single minute in the tournament. Hopefully he'll get to start. Hopefully he'll get to start on Saturday.
Yeah.
But then when you have so much attacking talent at your disposal and you don't even bother to use them because you've got some ideas with quotation marks, it says a lot more about you as a coach in a bad way. And it angered me as well. And mind you, I didn't watch it, but I was listening to watching updates on BBC Sport via the text. So big up to BBC Sport again. We're using their articles, of course. And it's as if he didn't even learn from what happened when Argentina played Egypt and when Argentina played Cape Verde. Both of those two teams did really well in pegging Argentina back. And mind you, Egypt, with Mohamed Salah and all, were up 2-0. And around about the 75th minute, I was saying, this is going to be the end of an era for this team. They've become too complacent. But then, as long as you've got Lionel Messi in your team, you just know that it's never going to be over until it's over. Lenny Kravitz-esque, if you will.
Yeah.
I also think that Before we will get back to the article, but I'm also going to say, in as much as we are perfectly within our rights to criticize Tommy Tickle, we've also got to credit Lionel Scaloni, who's proved that he is quite simply the most tactically flexible manager in world football today. He was able to devise a plan in some ways to try to tire out England's attackers. And I think, we started to look a little bit dead on our feet, which is probably the excuse that Tuchel gave. But it doesn't justify bringing on defenders. And then once Messi got some more space on the right wing, he was able to do his thing. He was able to read the game. He was able to suck defenders in. And then with those 2 assists, the rest is history. He's now top of the Golden Boot standings. And if Mbappe has another stinker on Saturday, then, Messi's all but sealed that Golden Ball and Golden Boot. Yeah. But we have to credit Scaloni as well for bringing on some good substitutes at the right time who lent their own, influence to everything. You've got people like Nicolas Otamendi and Rodrigo de Paul, Gonzalo Montiel, and 1 or 2 others who, were experienced enough from Qatar and their Copa America campaigns to know how to handle situations. It's like, the bench players are sort of like a bomb squad who come in and rescue a difficult situation. And for that, you've got to give Scaloni credit. And if he does win on Sunday, then he will make history as the first ever coach to win 4 consecutive international titles. And that will seal this team's status as the greatest international team of all time. And you've got to say that from the depths of where Argentina were, they deserve their plaudits. But we can also agree that England had this opportunity and they choked. And on this note, let's get back to the article and see what more people have to say.
Right, yeah. When we went 1-0 up, we tried to hold on. Yes. Even Argentina goalkeeper Emiliano Martinez, your favourite one there, Manny, admitted there was a change in momentum after the opening goal as England sat back and looked to defend. Sometimes when you're winning, you have to go forward, said Martinez. You can't change the game plan. I think they did it, and they sent on extra defenders. Tuchel has improved on England's showing at the 2022 World Cup when they reached the quarterfinals before bowing out to France. But this England team is sprinkled with exceptional individual talent like Harry Kane and Jude Bellingham. England captain Kane, who will be approaching his 36th birthday at the next World Cup, suggested his side could have done more. When we went 1-0 up, we seemed to try and hold on, which at this level is not enough, he said. Exactly. I totally agree. I'm just gutted because we've worked so hard to be here and the lads have given every last bit of running, blood, sweat and tears. We pressed them well, We put them under loads of pressure high up the pitch, which when allowed us to win balls and control the game a bit better. After the goal, whether it was them putting more men forward or us not being able to match them man for man, it was just wave after wave. The lads were putting blocks in, but in the end, it just wasn't enough. Rooney added, if you're an attacking player on that pitch and you see the changes the manager is making, you lose your belief in it. You start thinking, oh no, we're going to sit back for this long. How are we going to get through this? Tuchel says England were too passive. Asked if he made wrong decisions against Argentina, Tuchel said he had no regrets and his changes were a reaction to England becoming too passive. We decided to go back to a back five or to close the gaps, Tuchel said. Straight after our goal with no substitutions, we just conceded way too many crosses and way too many chances, so we tried to help. The responsibility is on the coach when it isn't going well, which don't make sense. It isn't going well, I would have said there. But I don't know if that's their mistake or what he said. Probably what he said. Broken English, I suppose. It's easy to say it was wrong. We were very close today. It's not the moment to analyse the full tournament. Despite reaching the semi-finals, Tuchel's tactics and choices will be criticised for days to come after failing to make the final, despite taking the lead. Tonight, on the biggest stage, he got it wrong. and he has to accept that, said Richards. And I've got a few stats of his here as well, but do you want to talk about that first, Manny?
Yeah, this thing from Tuchel where he said we were too passive, it kind of, segues back into what I was saying where, Scaloni sort of realised that we were starting to tire a little bit.
Yeah.
I was actually having a debate with a few people on Twitter about the type of formation that Scaloni would use, because it was quite clear to see in several of the earlier matches that what they were trying simply wasn't working, especially when it came to trying to start with Messi in the center and seeing everything get a bit clogged up and not giving him service, but then they'd move him to the right and then it would work. The big change they made was they stuck to their 4-4-2 formation, but they brought in Diego Simeone's son Giuliano, who plays for Real Madrid as well, where his father is a coach, in the hope that his speed and ability to get behind the defense was going to be an asset. Now, we must credit Tuchel for picking a brilliant lineup. I was, groaning when I saw that he had picked Reece James and Jed Spence to be our starting fullbacks, because I thought Ezri Konsa did put in a fine shift at right back, and Nico O'Reilly certainly didn't put a foot wrong. After a difficult start, he certainly settled into the role. But what he wants to do was probably provide some pace on the flanks and sort of, put Argentina off balance. And you saw that, the first half was descending into a bit of a melee of, fouls on both sides. It was niggly, it was cagey, it was, disgusting. And at times you felt as though the referee wasn't in control of that. So we started really well. But again, well begun is only half done. And you've still got to finish everything. And it's like, as I say, Steve, if Tuchel felt that we were being a little bit too passive, maybe in the midfield and attack, you freshen that up by getting in more midfielders and putting on, some different options in attack. But it all stems back to the fact that we selected a pretty poor squad in some respects with not enough cover at right back. I mean, with Reece James's injury problem and Jarell Quansah getting, suspended, we had to shove Ezri Konsa, another former B, of course, into the right back role, and I thought he did well, even if it meant bringing John Stones in. But to not pick someone like a Harry Maguire, I thought it was a bit of a mistake. His experience would definitely have proved very handy. I go back and forth on someone like a Trent Alexander-Arnold, but still, it's another reminder. You've got to be prudent when you select your defenders in certain cases like this. And especially on the right wing, he wanted to show how ruthless he was by dropping Cole Palmer and Phil Foden. But he picked Bukayo Saka, who I can tell you as an Arsenal fan, was almost effectively on crutches, thanks to that, Pillock we have as a manager at Arsenal. Yeah. And then there's this chap who I don't call Nono Madueke for nothing. He's just a slimmer version of an Adama Traore. He'll run and run all the livelong day, but can't put in a cross to save his life. And when you have someone like Zlatan Ibrahimovic saying that, when we start Noni Madueke, it's like we're starting with 10 men. I mean, he can be a bit of an obnoxious git at times, but he does know his football. That pretty much sums it up. We didn't select, a squad, in my opinion, that would have been well balanced. And I think, it was Stephanie who said that, who alluded to our picking of Jordan Henderson. And what was stupid about that? Just there for vibes and then got injured celebrating. Not using Mainu was embarrassing, although here's the thing. Maybe what Tuchel saw in Mainu wasn't enough, to convince him to start him. But then why would you pick him in the first place then? Why not go for someone like an Adam Wharton or a Morgan Gibbs-White to add that little bit of strength and guile in that midfield?
Or
the only
Scott,
good thing...
Scott as well.
Oh, yeah, Alex Scott from Bournemouth. And of course that segues into a next point. The only positive that can be taken from this is that this tournament will be a watershed because quite a few players will announce their retirement from international duty. I'm expecting Jordan Pickford to call it quits because I don't think he can take another disappointment. It is time to give the likes of Henderson and Trafford and a few others some opportunities. The worst part is it could mean that the likes of Aaron Ramsdale and Nick Pope might see themselves as having a chance to come back into the setup, although the last I heard, Ramsdale has secured a move to Italy. So let's see how that goes for him.
Yeah.
I think Nick Pope might be leaving Newcastle. Jordan Henderson will definitely retire, so this has to be the time for the likes of Wharton and Gibbs-White to really step up. We've already seen Kyle Walker retire before the tournament, which is perhaps a good thing, I would say. John Stones, I don't see him lasting much longer. And I'm also going to take... Go ahead, Steve.
No, I was just saying, I agree with you there, Manny.
Yeah.
100%.
And
go on.
I will also say one more thing. Harry Kane, hang your head in shame. You had the absolute temerity to use your position as England captain to go into an activist mode when we played in Qatar. But then we go to the US and you accept an invitation from the swine squatting in the White House to play golf, knowing that it's thanks to him and mainly him that this tournament has ended up being a farce in so many ways. Steve, I don't want to get political about this, but you saw everything that happened with the tournament about how, teams were subjected to, strip searches once they disembarked, how several fans were, priced out of tickets, and some fans were not even, allowed to board the plane to come to the Americas because of some immigration issue. They refused a Somalian referee entry into the tournament for, whatever reason. And you have the nerve to go and play golf with him. You absolute hypocrite. It's not for nothing that they say that everything that swine touches dies, but for you to do that, I think it's almost poetic in a way. But you showed, in my opinion, that you are nothing but a hypocrite, and you can't be trusted to make any opinion on any social issues taking place. And having a guy like you as captain of my country, I am absolutely ashamed. And if you have any sense of self-respect, I don't care if you are 5 caps away from breaking Peter Shilton's record for being the most capped England international on the men's side. Wayne Rooney announced his retirement 5 caps short. If you play on Saturday, that should be your last game. Do the right thing. Do what Alan Shearer did and peacefully make way so that other younger strikers can have some chances to play. You owe that to yourself. And whatever you decide to do in your club career with Bayern Munich, pick up a few more, Bundesliga titles, which are much nicer looking dinner place than the Community Shield, I have to say. If you want to win it, if you can think of winning a Champions League with Bayern Munich, do that. But I never want to see you playing for England again. And when we have this core of older players retiring, hopefully, and not being involved in Euro 2028, then maybe Tuchel can start picking a better squad. He absolutely has to carry the can, not just for his tactics today, but also for his poor squad selection. And the only thing I can say is that I hope he takes this as a learning curve. And this probably is going to turn, I don't want to go into future talking points, but if there's anything else you want to do, Steve, let's do that and we'll keep cracking on. Yeah,
well, basically from what you were saying now, I just want to follow that on what you were saying about what's going on in this tournament with FIFA and Mr. Trump, absolute scumbag, fraud, arsehole. How he's president of America, I do not know. And what he does, everything he does is totally wrong and out of order, and he just can't see it. He's just an absolute brainless idiot. And, how he got that guy off of his, the guy who used to play for Arsenal? USA, Balogun, how he got him off that yellow card, red card, he got him to come back. Right. That never happens in football. How the hell it can be allowed to happen just because it's Donald Trump, I do not know. And they got of course, Kwanzaa, 2-game ban. He wasn't rescinded from that, was he? From having a 2-game ban for what he done. And it smacks of absolute bullshit and fraud, as far as I'm concerned. And I am doing a stream afterwards, as you know. I've told you that I'm going to do a stream about it all, FIFA. That bald-headed fraud as well there, Infantino. And the rest of it, all the dodgy dealings that's all happened with it. I'm going to go into it big time after the World Cup. And as you say, you're gonna come on, and I hope you do. I want to hear your opinions because I know what they are, strong opinions as well about all that. And it is terrible what they get away with, and it's not right. It's just totally not right. But how do we stop it? I don't know, Manny. But anyway, why has Tuchel not resigned yet? Well, Sherry Swiss, it's because he's on a lot of money, basically. And I can't see him walking away. He just wants his money. And, if we get to the Euros and it's the same shit again, it's not good enough, is it? And why do we keep him on? But the FA just want to keep backing him. They keep backing these managers, and it's not working, is it? And they don't want to own up to their mistakes, basically, do they? At the end of the day, he got extension of 2 years for what? For failing in the semi-final, yeah. But anyway, Manny, let's carry on, as you say. There are stats here that damn Tuchel. Well, there's a lot that damns him, to be honest. When Thomas Tuchel sits down to review Wednesday's defeat by Argentina, one passage of play will likely stand out above all others. A viral claim quickly spread after the game that England completed only 2 passes between the 66th minute and Argentina's equaliser in the 85th. That's not quite true, but the reality is only marginally better. So it's got that stats graphic there. 3 successful, 5 unsuccessful, 8 passes, 38% accuracy. Don't look good, does it? According to Opta, England completed 3 passes from 8 attempts between 66.05 and 84.42. 3 successful passes in more than 18 minutes of football. The only players to complete them were goalkeeper Jordan Pickford, who managed 2, and centre-back John Stones, who registered the other. Yet that was not an isolated spell. The wider numbers from the period between England's opener and Argentina's equaliser paint a similarly bleak picture. And it's got them all here. The stats between 1-0 and 1-1. Passes, Argentina 234, England 34. Successful passes, Argentina 219, England 24. Long passes, Argentina 7, England 9. Shots 7, Argentina to England 3. Shots on target, Argentina 2 to England 1. Touches in the opponent's box, Argentina 15, England none. Possession 88%, Argentina to England's 12. Says it all, doesn't it, Manny?
It does, absolutely. And even if you continue, I think it just sort of continues to read on that. But touches in the opposition box, none. It's like, it isn't just that, we didn't even attack. We let them have the ball thinking that we were solid enough defensively to repel them in every single way. We didn't factor in, Lionel Messi's continued excellence and his ability to just, read the play beautifully and unlock anything. I mean, that chap is literally a human cheat code. And when you play that way, when you see it fit to disrespect your opposition by saying, come at us and we'll block you out, they find a way to unlock you, and that's exactly what they did.
Yeah.
Please continue.
Well, yeah, that's pretty much just saying all that. 3-9's inability to relieve the pressure was reflected in the involvement of their star men, Jude Bellingham and Harry Kane. I thought Jude Bellingham has had a great World Cup, actually. I still will say that. I think he was brilliant. Harry Kane at times didn't show up again. He went missing in these big games, which a lot of people are saying now. At the end of the day, he's got no pace and things like that. But he scores loads of goals, let's be honest. He scored many a goal, certainly at Bayern now as well. But yeah, I'd say Bellingham has been our player of the tournament, probably, who have so often provided the decisive moments for the team. Did not have a single touch in the Argentina penalty area. those are the players the team normally turn to when matches are slipping away. Instead, they were left tracking Lionel Scaloni's side as his men stepped forward in pursuit of a way back into the game. In his post-match interview, Tuchel hinted he was content with large parts of the performance. But the data offers a far less reassuring picture. For a coach whose teams are built on control, that is likely to be one of the hardest findings to digest in the review. And he said he had no regrets over what he'd done, which I think is pretty bad. He won't own up to his mistakes, basically, Manny, at the end of the day.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And it's one thing to say, you know, I accept responsibility, but also another thing to say he was satisfied with large parts of it. And when you compare that to what he said after we beat Norway, how he was, you know, self-critical and critical of the team and what we lacked, while also, you know, happy with the win. I mean, it just goes to show. I get that, you know, maybe in light of the loss, putting the boot in, you know, may not be a nice thing to do, but then it also makes you a little bit flaky in many ways, a little bit of a pushover or a pansy, as we would say in England. And, you know, that's not really a good look. You can't hide behind those sort of tactics when you see how they've caused such a problem. And then when you see everything go completely to pot, you try to throw a Hail Mary, a desperate, you know, play and bring on some forwards in the hope that they would, you know, make something happen. And yeah, I think I can also safely say that I hope we never see Ivan Toney playing for England again, because I think you will agree. And I know that you might have a little bit of bias, but I'm sure the evidence is proof that he never really offered very much in the tournament either.
No, it's true. I agree. I do agree. I didn't want him there anyway, to be honest. I don't think he's an England player anymore. And but yeah, I just I go back to what you said about the squad as well. It was totally wrong. He got the squad wrong. He just picked what he thought he wanted. He was stubborn, like we can say a lot of them are. Certain other managers before him have been stubborn in what they've done. And we could say an Arsenal manager is quite stubborn in what he does. Even though you won the Premier manager, won the Premiership, Manny. So well done. Congrats to that. But I still think he's an absolute fraud. And your manager, I don't know, I think he sort of scammed his way to it somehow, luckily winning in it. But
mate, don't start with that. I mean, I've returned to Twitter after my original account got hacked yet, and I remember putting out a tweet saying that, you know, we got lucky winning the league, and, you know, we shouldn't really give him all the credit he deserves. You can't even believe the response I got. I've had to, you know, respond and block and respond and block. It's an absolute army. It's a real pain in the backside at times. But you know what? I kind of enjoy giving it back to them and then blocking them in return. You put up with that when you're on that in that cesspool. People like them put the twit and Twitter. But interesting article from The Sun. Of course, you know, The Sun isn't exactly a very popular newspaper in the UK. But let's see what they have to say.
Yeah, the current bun. Let's well, this is true, actually. This has been said. He did make comments about Gareth Southgate. Thomas Tuchel's comments about Gareth Southgate came back to haunt him in England collapse. The most damning assessment of Thomas Tuchel's evening in Atlanta is that he morphed into a hybrid of Sir Gareth Southgate and Roy Hodgson as well. England's surrender, it's a bit unfair on White, isn't it? England's surrender to Argentina was not just reminiscent of Southgate's 3 biggest games as manager, but the torturous elimination by Italy at Euro 2012. Yes, exactly. Those 120 minutes under Hodgson are infamous for England's inability to pass. It was the night Andrea Pirlo topped the passing stats with 131. Ashley Cole topped the charts for the Three Lions, managed 44. Between Anthony Gordon's goal and Lautaro Martinez's winner for Argentina, England had an unforgivable 12% of possession. Since last night, retweets of an ITV football clip on X for March 2025 have practically doubled. It starts with a quote. They were more afraid to drop out of the tournament than having the excitement and hunger to win it. It is Tuchel speaking about England's meek Euro 2024 campaign. The German tactician was right, yet the Three Lions were more afraid in Atlanta. Yes, Thomas. Tuchel's impression of Southgate is a borderline sackable offence. He was a supposedly sophisticated coach who would never consider stooping to such agricultural and backward tactics. Yet England did in all three knockout ties when ahead. The overblown reaction to beating Mexico, whose only recognisable starter has just signed for a championship club, obviously Jimenez, gave Tuchel a pass. England fans celebrated Dan Burn heading a ball to the halfway line. England were reduced to 10 men and throwing on Burn was logical in those circumstances. But there is still a contagious fondness for such medieval tactics in Britain. England have resembled Peter Kay in that immortal John Smith's Abbott's advert, coincidentally released during the 2002 World Cup. During ITV's commentary of the unconvincing win against Norway, Burn was referred to as Big Dan Burn. Assessing England through a blinkered patriotic prism is a big reason why their only success since 1966 was Le Tournoi. Remember that, in 1997. Only Tuchel is German. For him to embrace that British bulldog spirit warrants its own investigation by the Football Association. The FA do not come out of this unscathed. Just like in 2010, they remunerated the coach with a new contract before a World Cup. Both World Cups ended in scandalous defeats. England's loss to Argentina, completing an unwanted hat-trick, a round of 16 quarter and semi-final defeats to their nemesis, is the worst of their 10 World Cup knockout defeats since 1966. Tuchel had the talent pool deep enough to see out the game productively. Argentina was snide and tempestuous, with their two centre-backs booked before Gordon tapped in. Gordon had a peculiar tournament. He was in and out of the side, but notched the most meaningful goal of his career and created some of England's most important goals against Congo and Norway. With his confidence at a career high, hooking in 17 minutes after pouncing on Naul Molina's doziness was odd enough. To send it on Ezri Konza, Great, son. Yeah, well done. And switch to back three was self-sabotage. There were telltale signs that England players' disapproval of the approach before Konza emerged. At least he got the name right there. John Pickford was urging the referee to blow for the hydration break after he denied Nico Gonzalez. I saw that, actually. He was going like that, wasn't he? Yeah. The goalkeeper is a quirky character, but he knows that those commercial-related pauses have sparked drastic momentum swings. With England under the cosh, the Everton ace hoped for a tactical reset. No such joy. 2 minutes after the game resumed, Alex McAllister somehow hit the woodwork rather than the back of the net. In Southgate's three biggest matches, the two Euro finals against Italy and Spain, as well as the 2018 World Cup semi-final against Croatia, England played with a back three. There's been ample recent evidence in England of a back three backfiring. Hello, Ruben Amorim. Tuchel had success with it at Chelsea. Yet England have not started with it in his 21 matches on the touchline. With Gordon in the dugout, Molina could get closer to Lionel Messi to provide support on Argentina's right-hand side. that is where their chances came from during the period that England's goal led the charm lie. Reece James and Declan Rice have had fitness issues, and their second half withdrawals were likely pre-planned. Byrne replaced James as there was no specialist right back. Tuchel cut his nose to spite his face by summoning the redundant Trevor Chalobah rather than Trent Alexander-Arnold after Tino Livramento withdrew. Unsurprisingly, his contrary calls were not vindicated. England had 6 defenders on the pitch: Byrne, Konza, Mark Gahey, John Stones, Jed Spence, who I actually thought was good in this tournament, playing for a shit Spurs team, yet he got in the World Cup for England and actually looked really good. And Nico Riley and Martinez was still unmarked when he nodded in the winner. Argentina celebrated Martinez's winner for so long. It was nearly Thursday in England, and Tuchel had still not made attacking substitutions in time for the restart. So Konza, not Alexander-Arnold, was still on the right wing as England attempted to salvage the night. His 2 crosses were flat and hit the first man. Amid England's lack of control, the only outfield player named in the original squad yet to have played in the World Cup is Kobbie Mainoo, a midfielder synonymous with control. The absences of Alex Scott, as you've already mentioned, Manny, and Adam Walton seem even more remiss now. Yet Tuchel afforded Jordan Henderson playing time against Panama in New Jersey. This was Henderson's 4th World Cup. Hodgson and Southgate both picked him. Well, but actually, we're getting back with what I already said about what Tuchel said about Southgate. Is he not a hypocrite, would you say?
Yeah. You've got to say that in many ways. And when you make such a bold statement, you've got to have the gumption to back it up with everything you do. And it was just, even, and as I said, Steve, even if you were to accept his explanation that we had started to tire after the hour or so when we just were flagging in energy, it still didn't justify making all of those defensive substitutions in the hope that, you know, we stay a little bit solid, conserve some energy, and then, you know, keep them out. It was misplaced faith. And I would say that, you know, the one thing which mitigates Cape Verde and Egypt's decisions, of course, to try to sit back was that they just didn't quite have the experience or the tactical know-how. I think Hossam Hassan, the Egypt coach, pretty much cost his team that game. Against Switzerland, you know, Argentina were lucky that Briel Embolo was deservedly sent off because 11 against 10 was never going to be a fair fight. And in the end, their quality shone through. But it was just poor mismanagement. Why take a squad of the 26 players that you want? Buonasera. Fratello mio. Calcio with Rhino Z. Reno Z.
Oh, right.
Yeah. And huge fan of Italian football and one of several people who actually do not want to see Argentina win the World Cup and doesn't like Lionel Messi. I mean, how can you not like Lionel Messi? It's like saying you don't like roast beef and Yorkshire pudding, unless you're vegetarian, of course. But yeah, so as I've said, you know, it's about attention to detail, about really thinking of the type of players you want. And then if you want to be ruthless, you've also got to get it into your head that some players just don't really have a place, have a future anymore. And as I've said, you know, this will be the last tournament for the likes of Jordan Henderson, for Jordan Pickford and John Stones. I think Harry Kane also has to retire. And yet you've got this guy named Henry Winter, a famous journalist, saying that we should hope and pray that Kane stays on until the Euro 2028 cycle, breaks Peter Shilton's record, and even has a statue dedicated to him for everything that he's done. No, to hell with that.
No,
he needs to announce his retirement and, you know, start to move on, do what Alan Shearer had the grace to do, and just pave the way for a new generation. And as I say that, there's a link on your page which talks about a potential 2030 lineup. This, of course, you know, we'll have to see if Tuchel is still in charge by then. I know you don't want him to be in charge, but we will talk a little bit about that. he's made some horrible mistakes in the run up to this tournament and during the tournament, and he has to own up to all of them and be analytical. And you would think that being a German, he would certainly be a lot more self-critical. Of course, Germany themselves crashed out horribly in the round of 16 against Paraguay on penalties. So they've, their World Cup record since winning in 2014 has been absolutely abysmal. And, it's almost schadenfreude, really, to take some satisfaction in seeing them go through a bit of a crisis. But then, unless we're able to take advantage of, the opportunities given to us and really make the most of it, we're just going to be another wasted generation, like the golden generation was in the mid-2000s. And that's really what worries me. The biggest issue I have, though, is that I don't see anyone who could come in and do anywhere near do an even better job. In fact, if you mention any potential replacements who could come in, I can tell you right now that they'd be absolutely useless. But we will get into that later on. But is this the thing I mentioned about the 2013 lineup? Okay, cool.
Yeah,
so
he's buddy, yeah. Certain Max Dowman there, Manny. Don't get much chance at Arsenal, does he? Why is he not being played there?
Well, here's the thing. He scored that winning goal against Everton, and it was he who changed the game when we played them at the Emirates. I hope he gets some chances next season, but it's hard to see it happening. But, like a lot of other Highlanders, he might be sent out on loan to another club and asked to, play to try and prove himself there. But we'll see what happens with him.
And this guy, Rio Ngamar, I thought he was a great player. I like the look of him. He played in, was it one of the friendlies, wasn't it? In the England thing, they had like a friendly. He was kind of allowed to play in it. Yes. And I thought, what would we have done with this guy in the team? He was taking them on. He was taking the players on, going past them and crossing. And I thought, we were crying out for somebody like that, going forward. And if he'd actually picked him in the full squad, he would have done that. We would have had him up front, an outlet. Yes, was he 16, 15, 16, whatever he is? But so what? What does age matter at the end of the day? If you're good enough, it doesn't matter, as far as I'm concerned. And if you've got the maturity, you might have the maturity on a young head, on a young body, I should say. If you've got that maturity, it's really good. It helps. And I think some of these have it. I think he probably has it. Probably Dowman has it, and a few others. So, I just don't know, Manny. You got to give the future generation a chance, surely. The future talent, and we don't know. They could be in like another Yamal or something, something like that.
Exactly. But then here's the thing. I mean, we tried our version of Luis de la Fuente by hiring Lee Carsley as coach, and we thought that he would, bring in a few more youngsters and try and reintegrate them. He wasn't quite able to do that, and we sent him packing after, a Nations League campaign where we were expected to go unbeaten, but we didn't. And, it will remain to be seen whether or not Tuchel will have the courage to actually bring in the youth, because history has witnessed, Steve, that whenever there's the end of a cycle, it's normally natural that some of the more veteran players will be shunted aside and some new talent will be given their chance to try and succeed. And that's what they did with Germany in the early 2000s after that exit from Euro 2004. They put their trust in youth and it was rewarded. And since then, they haven't been quite able to get back to that. Lionel Scaloni did the same thing with Argentina after Argentina crashed out of the 2018 World Cup. You had a lot of senior players, being shunted out and some youngsters given their chance. And we all know who one of those relative youngsters was, although he was a bit over age, and he made the most of it in a great way. So there has to be that vision. There has to be that sense that, it's time to move on and bring some youngsters in. I have no issues with them continuing to play people who are, continually deserving of their place. But again, you've also got to try to take a look at other possible options who could come in and replace them. And look at what Spain have done. I mean, there are several members of that Spain squad that won the Euros 2 years ago that aren't even in the squad for the tournament. And some of them are quite experienced, mind you. You think of Dani Carvajal, you think of Alvaro Morata, and maybe one or two others. But they're putting their faith in youth and a lot of form players. And, this is one thing that really irritates me. If Harry Kane continues to start, then this is really going to be a real pain in my backside in many ways.
Pain the pain, you should say. He'd have his walker with him up front. His walking stick probably up front, so they can help him carrying him to the goal or something, whatever,
Yeah, the pain in my brain is caused by Harry Kane.
Hey! Very good, Manny. Very good.
I had to do that. Rest in peace, Rex Harrison, my fair lady, and all that.
Ain't what he oughta.
Kane is no longer able. All right, enough. And this is intriguing because you mentioned Ngoma on the left. I think he'd be a wonderful replacement for the likes of Gordon and Rashford. I think Rashford is still an excellent finisher who could definitely provide a great deal. But once you get to your 30s, people are going to start asking questions. And especially with Saka, I don't know if he's 30 yet, but injuries are starting to, creep up on him and really, reduce his efficacy. Someone like Damon, if he comes in, or maybe even, an Ethan Waneri or someone else, if they're given an opportunity, why not? And Kai Rooney, 16-year-old. Well, I'd sooner have him as more of an impact sub more than anything else, but I think a lot of people have. A lot of people have given their options. I think some of them still want to see the likes of Saka in the team. I think Saka's almost getting to an age where he's getting done and dusted. Surprisingly, a number of people are saying that Declan Rice shouldn't be there. Maybe he's starting to feel the injury. And this is where, again, you're absolutely right, Steve. Arteta's a fraud. This idiot has been responsible for several of our stars not really having the best of tournaments. William Saliba broke down for France in the semi-final, and Yuri and Timber ended up missing the tournament because of an injury. Yeah. So all of these players who have had, injury-induced World Cup performances, if they have been able to, express themselves and find joy and happiness, it's because of, that idiot Arteta. And so you see,
that lineup would we be in heaven with that lineup, Manny? Do you think heaven at the back? Finally retracted.
Well, I mean, if he continues to develop well and play well for Manchester United, I don't see why not. And
who's
I
that
would like to.
By the way? Who's that?
Miuka. Yeah, let me look him up for you right now, mate.
Okay.
Okay. His name is Shim Miuka. Shumea Zion, an English footballer who plays for Chelsea, made 2 appearances already in the first team. He's represented England at youth level from under 16 to under 15 to under 19. He's got 23 caps for England under 19 and 16 goals as a forward. He's also eligible to represent Zimbabwe at international level. Both his parents are Zimbabwean. But I think, if he continues to progress well, he could, continue to, he could put himself in contention. He's only 18 years old. He's still on the books at Chelsea, but it could very well be that he might be sent out on loan. And maybe Hanno or a few other Chelsea fans might know a little bit more about him than I do. So,
any leagues you like here, Manny? These lineups, would you?
Well, I think Nico O'Reilly has done quite well in this tournament, but Lewis Hall coming into the picture will also lend some really good competition. The sad thing about Kobe Mainoo is that he was key for us in our run to the Euro 2024 final. And so to go from that to not even being used in this World Cup, I just don't know what Tuchel doesn't see in him, and whatever it may be, why he saw it fit not to pick him there. Bellingham will probably continue to play. I'm not too sure that Gordon will have much of a future, to be honest, because, as you said, he had a bit of a sort of a stop-start sort of tournament, but, Tuchel seems to like him a great deal. A lot of people are really bigging up James Trafford as a potential goalkeeping option. And, of course, he did win 2 cup competitions with City last season. I still think he needs to really develop himself, and if he wants to play first-team football, then he needs to move to a big club because, let's face it, even with Maresca having replaced Pep Guardiola. I don't see Jimmy Trafford getting too many minutes, especially with Gigi Donnarumma still being on the club's books. But then City also don't want to get rid of Trafford and deprive themselves of some good goalkeeping cover unless they have a good quality replacement. Maybe they could try and, speak to Aston Villa about swapping Trafford for their reserve goalkeeper, Marco Bizot, the Dutch international, who actually played a big role in helping Emi Martinez get back to some really good form this season. But then that's another story.
There is another one. Sorry, Manny. There is another future one, young guy, goalkeeper, the under-21. Is it Matthew Beadle? I know he's about.
Matthew Beadle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard of him. Yes.
He's about. Anyway. But apparently, they're talking about him for the future because he's a very good young keeper. He's obviously won it with the under-21s, won the was it Euros or whatever with them, or World Cup or whatever with them, under-21.
Euros.
Yeah. So they're on about him as well, coming through eventually to the actual senior team. Eventually.
It could be an option. Let's not forget that Trafford was also a Euros winner with the youth team when Lee Carsley was manager. So, we got to be a little bit careful because some of these players, a large proportion of these players, who start for the youth teams and do really well in major tournaments, end up not really going on to make it. And just on the subject of goalkeepers, you think of a guy named Freddie Woodman, who was, of course, our first choice keeper when we won the Under-20 World Cup, which was taking place in, I want to say, South Korea. I remember living in, Florida while I was a student there and waking up at 5 a.m. in the morning with my Union Jack to watch England beat Venezuela 1-0 in the final. Obviously, it was Dominic Calvert-Lewin who got the winning goal, and other players in that team included Ademola Lookman, Ainsley Maitland-Niles, and Dominic Solanke, and a few others. But Woodman was outstanding in goal, and Dean Henderson was his backup. But Henderson has since gone on to have the better professional career, although Woodman is now with Liverpool as the third goalkeeper, and he did, play a few games last season. It's sad how he's, sort of been left to waste away, because I think he could have really been a fine option for us. And I just hope that maybe he can, have an Emi Martinez style late bloom in his career and really come to something, because he could potentially be an option if some of the younger keepers just aren't able to cut the mustard. So in a nutshell, Steve, because I'm sure we'd like to move on and discuss other things. Yeah. We've got some good talent for the future, but it's going to be up to Tuchel now to start deciding if he's going to be, a little bit more ruthless and stick to his own principles and, practice what he preaches in that sense of the word. And if he doesn't, then he's asking for trouble. And, Kev, all I can say is that, we agree with you. He went defensive too early. Yeah. We had the chance and threw it away. And, all we can do is learn from these mistakes.
Yeah, definitely. That's right. Kev, big up to you, Kev. And big up to Rich, of course. He's in the live chat as well. Great to see you in here, Rich. I think you've done another stream earlier. I didn't manage to watch it, but I'll watch it at some stage, mate. Don't worry. They're doing plenty of transfer streams on his channel at the moment. The players coming in. They're trying to get in. Yeah, you're right. Tuchel should be sacked. Yeah, definitely. I agree with you 100% there, Rich. Definitely. But it won't happen, will it? So, unfortunately. But anyway, let's get on to the last article. And this is about what Tuchel basically earns. And really, should he be earning it? What is Thomas Tuchel's contract situation with England and how much does he earn? Well, Thomas Tuchel's England stumbled at the semi-final stage of the 2026 World Cup. The German coach was appointed to lead the Three Lions World Cup campaign in North America, with the key aim of winning it. Tuchel's side won all 8 of their World Cup qualifiers without conceding a goal, and his impressive start in the role landed him a new deal earlier this year. It came after he had been earmarked for the Manchester United job, Rich, following Ruben Amorim's sacking. Tuchel led England to the semi-finals. Well, which one would you have preferred now, looking at it? Probably neither of them. Tuchel led England to the semi-finals in the World Cup, claiming memorable wins over Mexico and Norway along the way. but they came unstuck in the semi-finals, being beaten by Argentina. When does Tuchel's contract expire? Tuchel signed a new 2-year contract extension with England in February. His deal will now run until the end of Euro 2028, having previously been due to expire this summer. The FA had initially appointed Tuchel for their 2026 World Cup campaign as Gareth Southgate's successor. Tuchel's first England contract included a reported $5 million a year salary, which is likely to have risen with his extension. Well, apparently it's $8 million, isn't it? As far as I know. The 52-year-old was rewarded with a new deal after a faultless World Cup qualifying campaign. Prior to facing Argentina, his only defeats in 19 matches in charge have been in friendlies against Senegal and Japan, as we all know. Tuchel is set to oversee the Three Lions Euro 2028 campaign, with England co-hosting the tournament in 2 years' time. They will be joined by the Republic of Ireland, Scotland and Wales in staging Euro 2028. Although all 4 nations will take part in qualifying, 2 places at the finals have been reserved for hosts who failed to qualify on merit. Tuchel is also expected to be in charge for the upcoming Nations League campaign ahead of Euro 2028 qualifying next year. On signing his deal, Tuchel said, "I'm very happy and proud to extend my time with England." Well, I'm not so sure we're happy with it, right? It is no secret to anyone that I've loved every minute so far. Well, it could be down to the money. I'm working with my players and coaches, yeah, okay. And I cannot wait to lead them to the World Cup. Yeah, shouldn't have done. It is an incredible opportunity, and we are going to do our very best to make the country proud. Yeah, okay. Tuchel added, "I've had so much support from FA Chief Executive Mark Bullingham, all my colleagues at the FA, and from fans wherever I go, and I did not hesitate when asked to continue this dream job. Euro 2028 will be a very special tournament, and as a coach, there is nothing more you want than to compete with the very best on the biggest possible stage." Right. I don't know. There's nothing happening. I can't see the. What's going on here? Having trouble here, Manny, with it. Can you still hear me?
Loud and clear, loud and clear. Could very well be your Wi-Fi.
Sort this out, man. I'm having trouble. Yeah, it's possible. I'm trying to sort it out. Can you carry on a bit, brother, while I get this sorted?
Yeah, well, I'm going to look up the article in question. I mean, I, as you know, I'm not too big a fan of The Sun, and I will, I'll get that.
Is it still on? Is it on it? Is the article still on it, Manny, or what? Or?
Yeah, the article's still on. I think it might be a mouse that's giving you some problems. Let me see if I can't try and,
it's working now. It's all right now.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so what do we... I suppose it's supposed to be 8 million he's on, isn't it? Altogether. Do you think it's worth that? Do you think he should... they should have waited before they did that?
I mean, here's the thing as well. You only need to take a look at what happened with Scotland, who made the dreadful mistake of offering Steve Clarke a new contract after the Tartan Army so spectacularly qualified for the World Cup by beating Denmark, as we all know, in that final qualifying game. And, Scotland went on to have a pretty poor tournament with only a win against Haiti and only 1 goal scored all tournament. And they were left, depending on results being in their favour for them to sneak a spot in the next stage as a top third place team. But they ended up, crashing out, and deservedly so. And Clarke decided, yes, I've signed that contract, but I'm actually going to stand down now. I don't think I can take the team any further, and a new one has to take the team forward. And it's probably good that he did that. Now, of course, Scotland are in a problem right now where they're trying to look for some options. One person who I thought would have been perfect for the job was a certain Mr. Postecoglou, but he's gone off to Saudi to work with Ronaldo, as I've said, to join Al Nassr. Now they're considering Roberto Martinez, who flopped with Belgium and Portugal.
Yeah.
They're considering Rafa Benitez, who was with Panathinaikos last season, and then he quit. And frankly, that guy is one of the most overrated managers in world football. Most of his better triumphs were when he had Paco Ayesteren as his number 2. And Ayesteren, of course, until recently was working with Aston Villa and Unai Emery. But then Emery decided to let him go and bring another chap in as part of a usual refreshing of the staff, if you will. But, the options for Scotland manager are definitely not very, very good. You can also imagine right now that the England managers' options are also not really that good. Prior to hiring him, Steve, we were considering the prospect of either getting Eddie Howe in or maybe someone like a Frank Lampard. And when you take a look at how Eddie Howe has fared with Newcastle United of late, there's so much speculation that he could be given the boot. He's been given a great deal of money by Newcastle, but now you could take a look at him and you get the feeling that he's being found out. And he's starting to be found out a great deal. And many of their star players are planning on leaving. Tonali's already gone to Spurs. Stupid moron. Not playing European football this coming season. Good luck to you with that. And then there's talk about Bruno Guimaraes possibly leaving. Arsenal interested in him. More and more stars might decide to leave. So it'll be very interesting to see how they rebuild it. But Eddie Howe just simply isn't an option. And then you've got Frank Lampard, of course, who will now be managing Coventry in this upcoming season. Well, he's proving himself well, but still, we only need to take a look at when he was in charge of Chelsea to see that, this job would be a little bit too much for him. And mind you, Tuchel replaced Lampard at Chelsea and won the Champions League. So where are the really good managers that we have? It's like we picked the one we thought was top of the list because of his credentials and experience and what we believed he brought to the table. And there have been some games where the style of play that he's shown have been absolutely, at times they've been really good to watch. But again, there have been times when he's tactically been, found wanting a little bit. And then when you make a decision like that to go defensive with about an hour to go, it kind of sums you up. But again, Steve, the reason why I'm leaning towards keeping him is, again, because we don't have any other option. And so let's just say, for example, if Tuchel were to do a Steve Clark and say, you know what, I've had an epiphany and I've decided I can't really, to take the team any further. Who could we call to replace him? Forget about calling someone like a Pep Guardiola. I think he's made it crystal clear that he's not interested in the job and he might want to pursue some other opportunities away from England. Carlo Ancelotti will now be trusted with rebuilding the Brazilian national team after they crashed out early. Thanks a lot, Gabriel Magalhaes. Stay humble, Gabriel? Stay humble. And then, there just aren't really any really big options out there that can really, make us feel confident. And we also don't seem to have a really discernible style of play. We don't really have a footballing culture the way France and Spain do, which is why Spain and France have no problem producing some really good coaches. And even after Didier Deschamps retires, Zinedine Zidane will come in and try and work his magic. He's going to have to put Kylian Mbappe in his place for France to progress. But again, at least France and Spain have options. For us, it's old Mother Hubbard time. The cupboard is bare. And so the poor dogs, in this case, the fans, have no options. Can you think of any?
Yeah, I get what you're saying there, Manny. It's a shame, isn't it? I mean, by the way, did you know, I don't know if this is true or not, they reckon Saliba's going to be out a long time.
Oh, that's old news, mate. I mean, that poor chap where, he cracked his back and fell on the floor in the semi-final, and now he's going to be out for 4 or 5 months to get some surgery. And again, it's just proof of just what an absolute fraud Mikel Arteta is. But on a separate topic, I also want to see managers put their feet down and say to certain players, look, you may be my star player, but if you are not 100% fit, I'm not playing you. No ifs, no buts, no walnuts.
Yeah,
It's stupid.
I thought that was stupid. Yeah, was it Adrian Durham was saying about that? I don't know if you heard that on TalkSport. He's saying that fault lies with the Arsenal players. Do they want to win stuff with their country, or is it more about their club? Well, I thought it's not. How can they control what they're doing? It's down to their manager, and he's overplaying them as it is, and that's why they're getting injured and why they're knackered and all that. Why they can't really play for their country. And I think Adrian Durham was actually totally dumb saying all that. It was totally out of order. Because he's saying, oh, they're all knackered, they're shattered, they're unfit. But yeah, and okay, it was down to Arteta, who was overplaying them, as he always does. Because that's what a squad is for, though, man, isn't it? So you had backup. You had backup.
Absolutely. And, further to that point, one player we got from you lot, Christian Norgard, he hardly played for us that season. And I was seething when he didn't get a chance to come on at the G-Tech to play against you lot at when we played you. He should have at least gotten that as a thank you, but he didn't even get that. So that's the thing about Arteta, really. He's an idiot who doesn't know how to use his squad. But we've also seen that even Tuchel's know better. At least when we found out that we had a camp or something, he found that some of the players weren't quite fit, mainly Arsenal players. He sent them back and said, if you're not 100% fit, I can't use you. And so why couldn't he have had that foresight when it came to selecting the squad? I agree with you when you say that when it comes to, the players, it's the managers who do bear some responsibility. But even then, the players also have to try and step up. And you've got this narrative from, certain fans who try to defend managers by saying, if players say that they want to play, then you have no business, stopping them from playing. And they've also got to try to learn to play through injury struggles in order to become truly great. And I say that's absolute nonsense. Because if you exacerbate the injury, you're going to make things worse. And it's a horrible situation, be it for club and for country. And we're going to see a situation where many of these players are going to start breaking down, and a large number of the reason why I wanted to pick that article, Steve, about potential 2030 lineups is that quite a few people in this 2026 squad forget about retiring. A number of these people will probably break down because of injury. We might not even see them in the squad in 4 years' time.
True. It is about that old age tradition of club before country or whatever. And they always put the club before the country. And, I think it's more now than it used to be. Because they want to play, they get all the money for their club and all the trophies, everything, win everything more with their club, don't they? And that's what they prefer, their bread and butter nowadays.
It's disgusting. It's disgusting. And, you can see the contrast as well, Steve. When you take a look back into the 70s and the 80s and even the 90s, when I started following football, Italia 90 was my first tournament. So I'm country over club. It's international football was really my introduction into the game. Yeah. And players were not even anywhere near as well remunerated then as they are now. But you could see the immense pride they had in playing for England and the love they had for their country. Terry Butcher, end of story. Now you don't see that sort of stuff. And I think it's fair to say that the sad part is we are in a situation right now where, you know that you can also be financially well compensated if you're playing for your country, if you are a part of a select group of players that will be expected to be picked, if you're contracted in that sense of the word, then you can earn some pretty decent dosh. But there's so much more money being provided at club level. And especially if you were the top team, you compete in Europe and there's so much money on offer. People are naturally going to, start making decisions on what to, on what they want to prioritize. And we're going to talk about that certainly later on, because, this is also going to segue in many ways into what FIFA are planning to do with all their corruption. And I don't want to, go off on a tangent. But it's like players are now going to have to really start deciding if they really want to run the risk of, continuing to flog themselves if that's the way they're going, And it may not even be the fault of the manager, because sometimes you can never predict when an injury can happen. That's why Emi Martinez has made this stance. If Argentina do win on Sunday, he's going to retire from international football, but still continue to play at club level. I think that's a fine decision, a really good decision, because it'll add years of his career. Alan Shearer did the same thing. Paul Scholes did the same thing. You're going to see a lot more people, Steve, making the decision to retire from internationals so they can continue to play more for their club. It's not a good trend. I don't necessarily like it, but players have to start protecting their health. And we're definitely going to talk about that a lot more. But I also believe that players have to be a little bit more assertive when it comes to dealing with their club managers as well, because it's every player's dream to, play in a major tournament. And with Yuri and Timber having missed out, I wouldn't be surprised if he starts to really, start hating Arteta underneath. And we're going to see quite a few people resenting this bloke in the coming days, weeks, months, and even seasons.
Well, I was reading that, Ronaldo wants to carry on. Did you see that? He's going to be like 45 or something in the next World Cup.
He's delusional, mate. Not worth speaking about him. He's delusional. He's desperate. He's bitter. He wants. He's not worth our time.
No, that's madness, isn't it? Just retire, Ronaldo. Come on.
And another reason why I say, Ange, good luck, mate. You're going to deal with an absolute problem when you start managing Al Nassr.
That's who we are, mate. I know what I'm saying. I'm winning my second season, mate. Yeah, you could. Well, with Ronaldo, though, you got to watch out, mate.
Well, in his second season, I don't think he'll have Ronaldo. I think he plans to go back to Sporting Lisbon, so maybe that'll be one less headache to deal with.
Yeah, he's just too pig-headed to give up, I think. I don't know. Too arrogant or whatever, something like that. But yeah, he was a great player. He was there in patches in this World Cup. I don't think he was that fantastic in the World Cup. I think Messi was better than him. Obviously, was a lot greater than him. Still, I'll still probably say Messi over Ronaldo all day. A lot of people might disagree, but I would say Messi better than Ronaldo for me. And who's the other ones that Modric as well? I think he's retiring though, isn't he? I believe.
Yeah, I believe he's retiring from internationals, and it will remain to be seen whether he continues to play for AC Milan or starts winding things up a bit. But, he's had a wonderful career as well. He'll forever be known as Croatia's greatest ever. Perisic could have a couple more years, play for Euro 2028, and then we'll see what happens with him. But Croatia, it's like one thing about this World Cup is, Steve, many of these top teams are going to see changing of the guards. More and more of the senior players are going to retire, and it's like, it's almost an end of stage thing, so to speak, and that's another reminder that football always moves in cycles and nothing ever stands still. So with regard to Tuchel, I think we have to accept that he's going to stay until Euro 2028. And that there aren't really any options that we can think of to replace him. But what we can do, and I hope you'll agree with me on this, is start to hold his feet to the fire.
Yeah.
One reason why we might have to consider giving him that level of rope is because we did that for Gareth Southgate. So we shouldn't be seen as being hypocritical by, not giving Tuchel that same Tuchel some grace. But Tuchel has to know now that he is going to be under pressure to perform. Otherwise, he's going to end up like Fabio Capello, who was ill-suited for the job, never should have been hired. And thankfully, I breathed a sigh of relief when he was gone. And then Wally came in and, the less said about him, the better. But all I can say to Tommy, it's time for you to step up. You've got to own it. You've got to improve on that. And we're going to hold you to it.
Well, the thing is, man, I'm still going to disagree with you. I'm sorry, buddy, but I don't want him here. I don't want him for the Euros. I don't.
Then who would you have? Who would you have? Who would you have? I have to put you on the spot then. Who would you have?
Well, as long as it's our own nationality, but I don't want another foreign manager. I want an English manager. It's got to be an English manager for me. I kept saying Eddie Howe, but who knows? Would that happen? Could we get him? The other, as you say, there is. It's hard, isn't it? They're thin on the ground. These really top English managers now. I know that. I get all that, but you've got to look somewhere. You've got to. I think I don't know whether we can go abroad to any managers abroad or English or lower league or something. Well, I don't think we go. No, I think that'd be wrong. That Potter would be potty, to be honest. Getting in, to be honest.
He's done well with Sweden, though. Give him some credit.
Yeah, he done okay, I suppose. Yeah. I just don't know. There isn't many about, as you say. There isn't, is there? But you've got to try and search somewhere. There's got to be some abroad somewhere, surely, or some league. Really good managers that are doing well. No, you wouldn't put not Scott Parker. No, definitely not him.
He's not called the bin man for nothing, you know.
Yeah. No, but I mean, no, there's got to be better ones somewhere, man. I just think we've got to try and look and find somewhere else because I don't know. This guy ain't for me. I don't believe in him. As you know, I had reservations about him for a while. You remember that, when we was on the streams before. I said I don't think he's the man, Manny. I don't think he should be manager. So I kept saying that to you. So I know you'll disagree with me, and you're welcome to that. It's your opinion. So everyone's welcome to their own opinion, even if it's wrong. But but no, I mean, it is a problem though. If we could find somebody else, we'd have them in a heartbeat. I think, wouldn't we? To be honest, rather than this guy.
Someone else, again, it'll depend, really. And all I'm going to say is that, it would be churlish to, just call for his head after a semi-final defeat because, if we have this sort of an attitude, then Gareth Southgate wouldn't have, lasted as long as he did and ended up getting a knighthood. And I know, Kev, you said that Guardiola would be quality, but I did mention that he had said that he had no intention of taking up the England job, and he'll probably look to do something else, maybe manage another national team. There is talk about him possibly, working with Italy. I know there was, I know that they were looking to try to get Roberto Mancini, but there could still be some big developments. Maybe if De La Fuente decides that he would like to, call it quits and do something else, Guardiola could be an option there. We've got to get this idea out of our heads that Guardiola can manage England. I think that ship's pretty much set.
Well, there is someone that disagree with you that one, Manny, but I'm not going to say who that is. He would disagree with you about Guardiola managing Italy. But I won't go into it. But anyway.
Yeah, I'm not saying that it would necessarily be a good choice, but
no.
All I'm saying is that Guardiola has other options apart from managing England, and I don't think he'd be interested in taking up this job.
Definitely. But he could be good for England, but as I say, he's another foreign one. And I just think we do need another English manager. I just feel like we've had success in the past. The guys like, obviously, Bobby Robson and, of course, Alf Ramsey. We can all remember Alf Ramsey years ago, 66, whatever. But yeah, Bobby Robson, you've had Terry Venables, we've had success with them. Yes, we haven't won trophies with them, but we did get far with them and we looked better with them, I thought. I know we're going back, it's, different times when they were in charge, but, it's, I think they were better, but it'd be interesting to see maybe if we can find someone else, another English manager, definitely go for him, but I was just reading what you were saying there about the cricket there, Manny, in the private chat. Yeah. Oh dear. Anyway, I'll have a look at all that when I finish this stream. We will wrap it up very soon. So, but yeah. So thoughts on that? I still don't want him, but unfortunately, we're going to have him. I think we're going to have him until 2028. Euros. If he does fail there, you've got to agree with me. He's got to go, haven't you, Manny? He's got to go, surely.
Yeah, well, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. And, you know, all I can say is that we've got to get rid of this, you know, defeatist mentality and start, you know, looking to try to win. And, you know, now Tuchel has pretty much put a noose around his own neck. He's got to live up to his words. So I think we can all agree that, yes, he's going to get some rope, but this rope could also end up being that thing which could, you know, suffocate him if he's not careful.
I mean, do you think there's going to be people that are going to actually back him now? Do you think there's trust lost with him now by fans and all that?
I wouldn't listen. I think all the reports, for what it's worth, of trust being lost are, you know, exaggerated in many ways. I mean, look, we're angry with his tactics. We're angry with how he, you know, completely mucked it up. But you know, all we can do is just hope that he learns from it. And there were some really good moments of hope. There were times when it was thought that we were, you know, starting to break away from that old Southgate style, you know, football that really had us irritated. And then, you know, we end up being given a reminder that we haven't really changed. But all I can say is that these next 2 years are going to be very crucial. And this will determine whether or not Tuchel really has the chops for the job, and whether or not he's really he can really be good to his words. So I'm hopeful that he can learn. I'm hopeful that the team can improve. And as I said, with some of the stars retiring, more and more youth should be brought in. All we can do is just, you know, hope. It's the hope that kills us, but we don't call it hope for a reason. Steve, listen, I'm going to have to split because I've got to get some work done. I've got to make some dinner.
No worries, Manny. I'm going to end it myself in a minute.
Great.
Do you want to shout your socials out? I know you're still about on certain other channels and stuff. Do you want
yes. Yes. So, first of all, thanks a lot for bringing me back onto your hive. It was wonderful to be buzzing again. And you can catch me on quite a few other channels. I was obviously doing some work with Hanno on his channel, the Sports Hub, for the T20 Cricket World Cup on the women's side. And, you know, if there is more cricket that he would like to do, I'll definitely be doing that with him on his channel. No activity on Oris Talks Football for quite some time. I think Oris has been busy, but, you know, we may get back to that. And I will, of course, you know, let you all know about it. Do please catch me as well on the Arsenal Voice with Rashid, where we talk about a lot of things Arsenal related, and also catch up with our good mutual friend Craig Beasley in Up the Cherries in All Departments, the Bournemouth fan channel. We're doing a series called Football Has a Problem, and we also will be doing a lot of call-in shows with Bournemouth, of course, having qualified for Europe. Sorry, Steve. There are going to be some discussions on how they will manage their season with a new manager and some new what sort of incomings they're going to have in terms of player acquisitions, and so that will be dealt with. And I'm out and about. And also catch me on my socials. My new Twitter account is Manny26031981. That is my first name and my full date of birth, 26 March 1981. And on Instagram, it's still Manny Thangadorai 1981. Also the same thing on Threads. And there's nothing much else to say except, you know, I'm really glad we were able to have this debate, and it was a good back and forth. And I wasn't dominating the conversation because this is Steve's channel, and I'm going to sort of learn to make sure that I, you know, say what I want to say and let Steve continue to take the lead. I never deliberately do that, but I'm always willing to learn. And I do enjoy speaking with Steve whenever I can. I've missed these conversations with him.
Yeah,
and
missed it
and nothing much else to say except I hope you will enjoy the rest of your week. And if you are planning on staying up to watch the Saturday game between England and France, all I will say is, come on, England, let's settle a score with those guys. If there's one team we do not like losing to, it's the French in any sport, be it football or rugby. And Steve will definitely agree, even though he's not a big fan of the egg chasing. Apart from that, nothing else. Take care of yourselves. Be safe and be happy. Don't do anything that Steve and I wouldn't do, and don't always make sure you do unto others until. Do unto others as you'd have others do unto you. Until then, I bid you adieu, and I am going to have to split. See you, Steve.
Cheers, brother. Take care. Yeah, take care, Manny. See ya. Brilliant. Thanks to him, Manny. As I say, been on for a long time. But yeah, it's great to see him back. And hopefully he'll be back on a bit more, a lot more, I hope. So he speaks a lot. He's got a lot of great knowledge, as we know. Speaks well. With that great voice of his, of course. But yeah, top bloke, top guy. So great to have him on again. And he will be back for more, I'm sure. Well, as I said, I'm doing one about FIFA and stuff after this World Cup. So he said he's going to come on there to stream. So he'll definitely be on that. Hopefully, I'll be on some of other ones with him, or maybe like the cricket ones and whatever. I'm going to have a look at the cricket in a minute because obviously it sounds like we're doing shit as usual. So, anyway, follow me on Insta, Mr. B for Life 182. Discord, Steve the B. Also subscribe to Mr. B, Hive Football Chat, his channel, of course. Smash those likes and keep subbing, especially if you're new. He's much appreciated. Your support is always appreciated. But yeah, please keep doing that. I'm still on 239. This was a good, really good stream. I enjoyed it. I mean, I had to vent. I'm still not sure this guy is the right manager, and we could see that. Unfortunately, he's not the right man for the job. If there were more candidates out there, especially English managers, I think we'd have them in a shot. Well, definitely Eddie Howe, I still think, maybe. I don't know, there ain't a lot else, is there? But, I mean, we can look. I'm going to do that. I'm going to check out some other managers if there's any really good ones about elsewhere. There's got to be. Yeah, as Kev said about Pep, yeah, I know he's foreign, but yeah, he would be a top manager. Great manager for us. But anyway, it is disappointing. As I keep saying, I had reservations about this, this guy, Tommy Tickle. I'm still calling him that. I will give him some respect when he puts some respect on our name on England and wins at Summit, But I don't know when that's going to be. Will it be the Euros? I'm not so sure. So we got to grin and bear it with this guy, I'm afraid. I think he should be gone. But as Manny said, there's no options. So what do? We just have to put up and shut up, I suppose, and just get on with it. The thing is, though, I still think he's going to have a lot less support from the fans. I think there won't be as many fans coming to games now. I have no faith in this guy and what he's picking, why he's picking the same lot, why he can't move on with the next generation of players, why the Rio and Gamoras, the Max Daumans, the Adam Walton, well, I suppose Adam Walton in a way, Adam Scott, Alex Scott, sorry, Rio and Gamara, as I say, them sort of players that have got talent and ability and, yes, they're young, but a lot of them have got old heads on young shoulders, So, I don't know, but in my opinion, this guy's a failure, an absolute failure. He should go, he should fuck off, take his money, go. And he done the wrong things yet again. He had the nerve to slag off Southgate. He's an absolute hypocrite. Southgate actually got us to a final. Unlike you, Thomas. So, anyway, guys, I'm going to bounce. So, I've had enough of this. I just can't keep on talking about this guy. He's not going to go. He's like a bad smell, won't go away. And that is the thing. We have to put up with him now. We just got to wait for the Euros for yet another failure, I'm sure. Another failure to do anything. But yeah, it is Groundhog Day. I've got to say that again, once again, which is what I was trying to get up here about. Well, I did have up here about Groundhog Day, but didn't quite work. It went off and everything. But anyway, having a few issues with Wi-Fi slightly. But anyway, thanks to everyone once again, to Manny, of course, for coming on, people in the live chat, people watching at home, live on playback. Thank you once again. Your support is always appreciated. I've got more to come, more content. I'll be doing another transfer, one or two, well, more than one, coming out soon, more transfer ones. As I say, the one about FIFA, I'll be doing that about this World Cup as well. Talking about how dodgy it's been with Infantino and so forth, and Donald Trump and whatever else. So I'll be doing all that. But anyway, guys, I'm going to bounce, going to watch some cricket. Everyone take care of yourselves, and I know it's still hot, so be careful outside. Please stay hydrated and don't stay out in the sun too long. Stay in the shade a bit. Don't stay out unnecessarily. And just be careful of this hot sun. But anyway, guys, you all stay safe. And until the next time, I'm out of here. I'm bouncing. Cheers, guys. Thanks once again. I'm out of here. Cheers. Cheers, everyone. Cheers.